Welcome back to match point of Fnatic versus Hong Kong Attitude. Seeing some beautiful shots of the skies, Wuhan, of course, as we get ready for this game number 3. Now, Fnatic, they've chosen blue side, and what could end up being a big sweep all the way into group stages for them.
Yeah, so have the option of the priority pick, that said HKA. They can also try to double down on their lane phase dominant, look for some of those counter picks the red side can offer, but so far, it hasn't been the story of this series.
No, it is not, and I think it's a wise move to honestly make the substitution they're doing, bringing Gemini in here, because we haven't really seen that much out of Godquai in this series so far. Yeah,
so domestically, Gemini is actually their primary jungler. He's played 30 games, whereas domestically, Godquai had only played 10 games in the jungle. Godquai used to be the AD carry, so still has a ton of experience with the team. That said, personally, in reviewing a lot of the LMS and watching a lot of the LMS, I thought that Gemini was the better jungler. They started putting in Godquai on the J-Team series as they were making their run towards Worlds. Thought that he felt really good, that he was fitting really well with communication with the team, and I've decided to run with him all the way through till this point. So I'm glad to see Gemini back, but I understand the strength and the reliability of Godquai in the jungle.
Yeah, talking about communication, of course, it seemed like that was the reason that they wanted to keep Godquai on the roster, because he was a little bit more familiar with the team, the way they wanted to make these calls, but for pure mechanical ability, it does seem that Gemini is the one that tends to be more reliable.
I mean, the big thing is that people always look about, how does a player change stylistically? Like, if you're going to run a 6 or 7 man roster, are the two players that you're swapping stylistically different? And if they're not, what is the purpose of swapping them? But we don't see the intangibles that a lot of those players are offering. Just changing someone out, even if they play the exact same champions, the exact same style, fundamentally change how the team is communicating, change a lot of the morale factors. So, without being in the seats, in the headsets with HKA, it's really hard to judge the intangibles between Gemini and Godquai, but stylistically, they are fairly different.
Yeah, go a little in detail about that, because for someone who's not ever seen Gemini play before, especially for a little while back in the LMS, what is this guy going to bring that Godquai cannot?
I do have to set the expectations and be fairly frank. HKA as a team in the LMS, they're a lane-dominant team. Their laners are considered very strong, and both of their junglers, Godquai and Gemini, are seen as kind of the weak links on their roster. So even though I am building up Gemini, don't expect this to be, a peanut type of situation or a blank type of situation. He is, I think, a more consistent jungler. I think he's shown more versatility, but simply he also has more tape to prove that to me than Godquai was given.
That's true, although we haven't seen him on some of the more recent meta picks as well. The Sejuani has only really made one appearance for him in the LMS summer, and they actually lost on that. So I think they might try to trend towards a different style. I'm not sure if they want to pick up a quick carry jungler, save it for later, but clearly there's going to be a different set of bans hitting the Hong Kong Attitude side of things.
Yeah, and we can engage in that conversation because I actually think it's really important. I said at the very beginning of the day that I feel that a good way to exploit some of Fnatic is to get into Broxah's face. This guy isn't a very proactive jungler in the early game. Even when they had their early game go off, it was really Caps that was stepping up and working in tandem with the other solo laner and sOAZ. It wasn't Broxah deciding, yes, here and now, I am going to camp the mid lane and we are going to snowball through this guy. It was sOAZ showing up. It was them reacting to a gank that was collapsing onto Caps, which is still good, but that means that there's still room to fight there, to push back stylistically. So I want to see Gemini get a great 2v2 mid-jungle matchup, and I want to see him get into Broxah's grill and really push Fnatic to continue to try reacting to the tempo they set.
Yeah, and if they can get mission some kills early on, I mean, the guy's been playing some snowballing carries. We've had the Jace, we've had the Kassadin. It's his birthday. He just wants a win from his team, so we'll see if we're going to end up getting it.
Yeah, but the big concern is that he got his 2 comfort picks. He got the Kassadin, he got the Jace, and it didn't mean anything. And we talked about how Caps, even when he doesn't get the resources, even when he doesn't get the Shin Stan United on top of him, that he has the second highest CS difference at 15 of any mid laner in the tournament, second behind Jensen. So even without any of the resources, and that's very different. Jensen gets a lot of resources from Smoothie, from contracts, from Impact.
And they play around him constantly.
Exactly. Caps isn't getting that, and he's still able to do so well in lane phase. So unfortunately, you have to put the magnifying glass on mission, and you have to say, we expect better of you than this.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, a little bit of time to be setting up, because with the substitution, there's a slight delay as Gemini's getting all ready, but you got to think the team has to be feeling a little bit rough right now. Making this change up, that can always disrupt things even more than it can help, but something has got to give when you're in this situation, down 0-2 if you want to stay alive.
Yeah, and it's not just the jungle changeup. I also think it's giving more respect and more attention to Unified. They have been faring very well in the 2v2. You know, Rekkles getting chunked out or forced to burn some of his summoners. He's not having the same dominant performance now. That said,
in laning phase,
Jesiz has also played Janna and Karma, so these aren't champions like Braum or Alistar where you can really look for a lot of those 2v2 skirmishing. So I'm not saying that like Rekkles and Jesiz have suddenly fallen out of form. They can't 2v2 Unified and Kaiwing. They certainly haven't been given the champions to execute on that, but why not double down? Why not have a super aggressive, heavy ganking jungler and just either start throwing everything at mid lane or start throwing everything at bot lane?
Well, we'll see if we end up getting it now. So for the bans, pretty similar to what we've seen all other games this series. Kalista, Ryze banned away by Hong Kong Attitude, the J4, the Cast, Syndra all gone on the Fnatic side.
Yeah, so a lot of those comfort picks, Kassadin in particular. There's the Ryze. I've been talking about it all series. Caps is never going to get his hands on it.
No. Might see some other stuff. We talked about the Aurelion Sol last time, and maybe we'll see some fun stuff, but they don't necessarily need to go on to any of those. The Cassiopeia was just fine. And with Hong Kong Attitude, the last second to take ban the LeBlanc, and ooh.
Rakan is left.
Oh boy. Oh, that's a no-brainer. Locked in by Jesiz. You talked about playmaking champions. He can make do.
When I was doing my my research for Fnatic and preparing for this cast, I had in multiple big bullet points, and Pyra, you can attest to this.
I've seen them, yes.
Put Jesiz on a playmaking champion, and Rakan certainly fits that bill. Now, Xayah is also left. I feel that puts so much emphasis for Hong Kong Attitude. They have to take the Xayah away. They cannot give Rakan and Xayah because it's a free pushing lane.
Yeah, for Fnatic, back on their side, not going to be able to get the Xayah up for Rekkles, so instead, they take the Galio and the Gragas. That is a massive front line, and of course, sOAZ has been having a field day on this Galio.
How much poison are you willing to give away, though? sOAZ, like you said, field day on the Galio. His team fighting has looked so well. His control of the side lanes, impeccable, and Galio just gives him so much freedom and mobility to play the side lanes, to play the team fighting. And so far, the playmaking champions that Fnatic have, they have their primary playmaker armed to the teeth with Rakan, and they have their secondary guy in sOAZ with the Galio.
And they're confident no matter how many bans get thrown the way, Rekkles is going to be completely fine. In fact, he won't even have to deal with any bans his way. Hong Kong Attitude deciding they want to keep focusing on the mid. Cassiopeia is off the table.
Yeah, so denying that one away from Caps. The analyst has said, what does Caps look like if you put him on a different champion in the series? But we are going to have that answered. Oh, the Aurelion Sol, not banned. We've seen it banned throughout the planes, you know, kind of second rotation. Kind of
don't want to deal with it, maybe?
The little voice in the back of everyone's head, guys, he plays Aurelion Sol. What does this champion do?
He definitely plays a lot of things. Maybe he'll get his chance on it. Day in the sunlight, or in the starlight, as it were. Shen's banned away, of course, by Fnatic now. Don't want to allow the matching of pressure up there.
But I do want to quickly redirect attention back to the Janna. So I talked about all of the engage tools that Fnatic have. That means that Kaiwing's job is so much more important. He needs to be on point with this disengage if his team are going to survive the initial playmaking potential from Fnatic.
But talking about playmaking as well, they got themselves the Cho'Gath. That's one of those champions we've seen do really incredible things the later the game goes. And now ball's back in Fnatic's court to round out their composition. They still need an AD carry. They still need a mid laner. Those questions that are burning will be answered. And Rekkles locks in Sivir.
Okay, so the Sivir special there, it's just a Sivir composition. It's got super hard engage, the ability to run full steam ahead, and he did have the option of going towards the Tristana, which is normally the play that AD carries will make here into Xayah.
For Fnatic, they still want to look for a mid lane. Now, what's going to synergize with this one to move real fast, straight at the enemy's face? Or maybe just have a little bit more pressure in all side lanes. We talked about the Aurelion Sol, but this is another one that can get in every lane, everywhere. It's the Taliyah coming out for Caps.
And now look at all of this roaming potential if Fnatic ever catch you out of position. As soon as these towers start falling down, Hong Kong Attitude cannot slip up anywhere. They will instantly be collapsed upon, either a wall coming through and on the hunt of the entire team rushing through, or a massive cannonball entrance from Galio.
Well, Hong Kong Attitude certainly have their work cut out for them if they want to try to snowball those lanes. Last couple of seconds ticking down, and it looks like the carry in the mid of choice is going to be the Vladimir for Mission.
So no one can stop Mission this time around. He has the ability to hyperscale into late game, and he has free access into the bottom line, or excuse me, into the back line. There's pretty much nothing you can do to stop a Vladimir with Protobelt from getting back there and just causing havoc for your carries.
Well, if they can kill him first, Fnatic won't have too much trouble wrecking right on through it. And very mobile composition, as you pointed out. We'll see what they can do in the laning phase. We'll see what they can do beyond. But for Fnatic, sitting pretty at 2-0, looking forward to sweeping their way into the group stages here at Worlds. Hong Kong Attitude on the back foot, making changes, putting in Gemini, and he's on the Sejuani, a champion he's not won on in the summer.
Yeah, and I do want to kind of talk about some sort of gimmick principles of HKA's composition. I actually see this composition quite frequently in the LPL, and what they like to do is when they get control around the Baron pit, they use the Cho'Gath to secure, obviously the Feast just as competent as the Smite in securing it, but they use the Janna in particular as a disengage option. So they use Janna to create space and just afford that the Cho'Gath is uncontested in the Feast Smite battle off.
Well, if they're able to get to the point where they can start pulling those off, we'll see. So far, HKA have had some real trouble just maintaining up against the likes of Fnatic the last time around, falling behind very early. But in game number 1, pulling off their signature early 15 minutes and pre-15 minutes domination. We'll see if that continues this time around, or if Fnatic are going to put this one away nice and quick, crescendoing their run into the group stages there at Worlds. For Fnatic, very important to try and prove that as a 3rd seed in Europe, they too can be dominating and deserve their spot at the group stages. For Hong Kong Attitude, they just need to hang on and force a game number 4. We'll find out as it all goes down right here on Summoner's Rift.
And at the beginning of the day, we brought up this idea of expectations. Coming into this series, both Fnatic and Hong Kong Attitude stumbled. It wasn't the dominant performance that a lot of the community, a lot of the fans expected from the 3rd seeds from these power regions. And it's, you know, expectations for Fnatic. They lost out to Misfits. They didn't get that 2nd seed. They didn't take 1st seed from Europe. LMS, HKA, they come in, they scrape in just before the finish line and say that they're the 2nd strongest seed. And now mission caught out and Burning Flash.
Yep, just trying to get the ward down, but the Fnatic gang squad was strong. This is one of those things you can afford to do when you find yourselves up a couple of wins. Just go for a little bit of a cheeky early play. Burning that Flash might mean maybe this is the time we see the early gank out of Broxah.
It is still fairly difficult to lock down the Vladimir, however, has a ton of safety in that lane, and he's probably going to be pushed forward. Taliyah likes to get as much ground for worked ground as possible, so pushing forward in the lane really helps her. Can cheat off some pretty early backs, or can cheat off some pretty early roams. The Fofo special in the LMS is actually the level 2 Taliyah gank roam, so we'll see if Caps has been paying attention.
Does it on Aurelion Sol, why not on Taliyah? Definitely a champ he's pretty comfortable around. Not quite the same amount of damage, but just fine. Starting things off in the laning phase with that Flash already blown. A couple of pings flying for Fnatic down bot.
And that is something that I really love. I loved watching the Aurelion Sol series from Fnatic because, again, the fact that Caps is able to absorb so much and get so little in return from his team, when he is on a heavy roam champion like that Aurelion Sol, like the Taliyah in this case, just the impact that he can make around the map with very early roam rotations. And he's going to have the room to make that type of impact because Vladimir is not going to contest him in these early levels to keep him locked in lane.
So they've got themselves a lot of breathing room to try and work with. Now, sOAZ is a little bit low up in the top side up against Riris here. He should be perfectly fine once the mini wave starts going his way. Riris trying to guard it away and deny him any farm he possibly can.
See how this bottom lane's going to turn out now that Jesiz has the playmaking potential. It's about how he's going to play around that shield cooldown. Although I always say that about Janna, and it feels like she always has shield 100% up 100% of the time.
Yeah, no cooldown whatsoever. Keep Unified nice and healthy. Now, Unified has definitely been able to do quite a lot this series. Here's that level 2 gank. Broxah looking to go in, gets the bop off straight into the rocks. Mission gonna get the ghost on. It's only level 2. He's not at pool. I don't think so. Getting shoved back on, and it's a flash forward for first blood to Broxah.
Ooh, frank disrespect for Mission. He should have known better. He had a target on his back as soon as he had his flash burn. He should have been fully aware that it was possible that a gank would happen, and he made a couple of key errors. A, didn't have the pool or didn't pool, wasn't able to walk away, and B, wasn't playing towards the top side. Is now Caps caught. Yeah,
he might be in trouble, but he does have that cleanse. Uses it, turning around on Gemini as Broxah and Caps chucks a rock at the back of his head. Clears down yet another kill. This is already starting off great for Fnatic.
Yeah, and they're rushing up top lane. They're just going to take the 2 free kills, and now they're looking at Cho'Gath.
Oh, Riris has to know something's going down.
Oh, no.
Moving into the river. Oh, no, he doesn't. They're hanging out in the tri-brush and might get baited in. False sense of security for the little Cho'Gath. Just as punchy, and shield of Durand is going to get the taunt off. And in comes Caps and Broxah. Hello and goodbye. Barrel's coming out, and that's going to be Caps picking up his 2nd kill of the game.
And suddenly, Fnatic, 3 minutes in the game, are 3-0, 100% kill participation on Caps. I feel like I've seen this exact game before.
This time we get the gank. Level 2, Broxah coming in onto mission. No pool available. He does get the ghost, but then shoved right back in. Come on in here. Flashing for the auto.
And then it just gets worse because Sejuani's going to peek her head in. Feels like she's found Caps alone and on his own, but Broxah to the rescue is making the back into the lane. Decides to walk over, and suddenly Taliyah is running around with double buff.
Oh boy. Oh dear indeed. And to add insult to injury, the fail flash. That's a long replay.
It just keeps going. HKA just have to relive all three of their lanes pretty much collapsing.
A little unfortunate right now for Hong Kong Attitude. That's definitely not how you want to start the turnaround.
The one nice thing here is that Riris understood that he was 100% dead and didn't bother to burn his flash, so he at least still has that to his name.
Yeah, that is definitely different. So, and this Cho'Gath is still going to have a great time once it hits the late game, but the way Fnatic are rolling forward right now with 1,000 gold in the lead, Broxah is unleashed, going up towards the top. He might find out this Sejuani in the brush.
But he's also bringing Taliyah.
Yep, Caps is already there. This is that hyper mobility, forcing the Arctic Assault out. Gemini has almost no mana left. Now Riris is isolated. Shield of Durant flashing forward. Shove is going to force him to flash back away, and so has Tank's tower shots.
And there's the flash that saved his life. So because Riris didn't panic use it when he was ganked initially, he's able to save his life there and eat up some attention from Fnatic as they collapse top lane. And all that really buys is some CS for mission.
Kaiwing just sits down and tries to hold on to the CS for his AD carry to come back in. It's been a very quiet bottom lane relative to the rest of the map. 5 CS advantage in favor of Rekkles, and of course Unified on that cold start. Trying to get a little bit extra gold out for himself. Mission heading back towards the mid, but Caps has got a level advantage. Of course, 2 kills to nil. He's very mobile. Boots early. Well, it was a lost chapter.
And he totally understands, you know, this is Riris without teleport, without flash. If he ever gets an opportunity, it's a very easy choice to make to quickly gank that Cho'Gath because you double down on punishing him. If you kill him as the wave is crashing onto his tower, he's going to lose all of that golden experience because he can't TP back to it.
And you want to keep the Cho'Gath down, right? He's a late game monster, and you want to be able to make sure that he can't do nearly enough. So I was looking to cut him off with the Justice Punch. Rupture's going to land. Shielded Duran does as well, though. Level 5 versus level 5. Caps is looking to make a play up towards the top, but we'll see if he's able to make it in time, pinging down Control Ward in that brush.
And Fnatic have done a good job laying the groundwork to clear out this runway for Caps to just run straight at Cho'Gath. And Riris, this is about to be a bad time.
Yeah, he's got the wall. Not going to use it, though. Just trying to force back. Riris can't even get farm now. He'll be able to get it at the end. They don't want to decide to overpush their luck as they had pinged on Gemini, a little closer towards the bottom side. Mission still free pushing in the middle, making up for some of that lost CS.
And now it's a question of what does Gemini do in return? Is top lane suffering? At least his mid lane has the flashback, but he's still waiting on a couple of key levels before Vladimir really becomes a factor. And he can't gank his bottom lane because it's a Janna lane. There's no hard CC. So at this point, Gemini is kind of relegated to hard farming his jungle and just trying to get to that level 6 so he can start providing the necessary CC to his lanes to have kill pressure.
Keep it on going. So Jesiz there to start pushing back some of that farm, as Rekkles returns to lane with his BF sword intact. And of course, very much a gold build for Unified right now, trying to get Kaiwing to that very, very fast Ardent Sensor.
Yeah, the Siphon build?
Yep, I guess that's the best way to call it.
And the nice thing is because of the pushing power, because normally you run this with something like a Twitch Janna, at least that's what we saw in the LCK, but then you lose all control of lane phase, and so you just lose your tower at about 7 minutes. It would be dropping right now. But since he's running it with Xayah, he's able to keep it pressured forward. So you're just getting the added benefit of a rushed Ardent Sensor without the con of losing your tower at 7 minutes.
Oh boy, Caps, he's chased on forward. Mission, he wants to dive right under that tower, but the Hemoplague is not going to be virulent enough to take down Caps.
Flash for flash, however, and at this point, Mission for certain has points into his W, so it means so much more that Caps on the Taliyah doesn't have the flash versus Vladimir.
Well, that might be all Gemini needs to start making a play once again in the mid, but he's been having a little bit of trouble trying to keep pace once again with Broxah this game. Speaking of, well, Broxah's already in the bottom side of the jungle, going to find it empty, though.
Does need to be careful. Denied the Blasco.
Yep, not too much here. All right, we'll take a look down back in the bottom side. Unified, back on the farm game, looking to push back Jesiz.
And he does have an open pathway down bottom, as well as the Sivir ultimate coming soon.
All right, Broxah looking to make his way up back towards the mid, and as you said, no summoners up and available, but he decides better of it since he's already back under tower.
Needs to watch for the
yeah.
Rakan engage. Does have ultimate, so we'll have the quickness available to them, but ganking a purple side Janna is really hard. When she's up in this narrow pathway, if you don't bring your mid laner, it's so much easier for him to find correct angles to disengage the tornado.
Oh, there we go with the charm, and here comes the wall. Teleport now coming off the backside of it. They've already got the heal down, but Unified is going to fall. Rekkles picking up one. Riris going for the rupture, does not land on a catch, and now Gemini's joined the fray, but it's 3v4 all the same. They keep chucking rocks back and forth. Mission trying to come in for the flank. That's some low Fnatic members. He does not have Hemoplague. Caps, he gets stopped up, and he's able to cleanse outside of the Ice Bowler. Riris, they turn on him, and Broxah throws down the barrel to take him out. Fnatic still trying to hang tough, but it looks like Jesiz is going to get taken out. And the pull down for Mission here. Jesiz punching forward, looking for the Vladimir caps. It's going to fall. No! It's Gemini who does. 3-4-1, and Fnatic holding firm. Look to secure tower number 1.
They've got 4 members down with a creep wave behind them, and that was the team fight that HKA really needed to survive. Either disengage from the tower, let it go, or win the team fight. And now suddenly it is 7-1 in a massive gold favor in Fnatic's favor at 9 minutes in this game.
And it just keeps on going forward. Rekkles is going to nearly be able to take this tower out. Should be able to do it with 1 more or 2 more auto attacks. Unified left to clean up the farm. And now Fnatic, they've opened up this bot side of the map, can take dragons if they want it, can just keep pushing further and denying Hong Kong attitude.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's a Cloud Drake. The Rift Child is going to be spawning soon, so it's much more important to play around the top side of the map in terms of objective priority, but let's take another look at that. The key thing is the fact that Janna is not level 6 yet, so doesn't have the Monsoon. I talked about how it's still very difficult to gank red side Janna because her Tornado and her Monsoon covers so much more surface area when she's trapped on this tiny little narrow runway, but if you don't have Monsoon, it doesn't matter. They pop Unified, Mission comes down, but Jesiz gets a sick turnaround play.
Yeah, that battle dance pretty much doing exactly what he needed it to, and at the end of the day, only 1 Fnatic member falling. This is what you were talking about a lot earlier in the series about how Fnatic, even when they fall behind, are able to fight it out a little bit better. Well, when they're ahead, you better believe they can do it.
Super easy, and Caps is just on fire right now. 4-0-3, again, still 100% kill participation for this game. I believe he was close to 100% in the last game.
Oh, yeah.
And when you put resources into this guy...
When you give him a champion you can do something with. On this Taliyah, he rocks.
I'm not even going to give you a laugh.
I saw the smile, though. That's good enough for me.
I'll give you solid 6 out of 10.
All right. Maybe I can do a little bit better.
It's not even a passing grade, Pyro.
I mean, I think I can do a little bit extra credit. What's Taliyah's favorite restaurant?
I don't know.
The Hard Rock Cafe.
I hate you so much.
I could do better than that. But I'll leave it for a little bit later. Fnatic still on a massive gold lead. 3,500 here at 11 minutes into this game. And it looks like they just keep the pressure on in the mid. Mission's going to have to run back, and we've seen what Jesiz can do on this playmaker.
Oh boy, Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, it's not going to get any better. What's your favorite movie?
No.
Rocky.
They're looking for a pick here.
Yes, they are. Broxah, Jesiz, Caps all moving forward on the hunt.
Ultimate.
Pops. They've got the wall up. See if they can get Kaiwing and Unified pulling back the blades, and Caps wants to go forward, does get the knockoff onto the Janna, and they combo on in. Hello, goodbye. Kaiwing's taken out in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, the CC lock doesn't even get a chance to respond with the Monsoon. The flick up into the quickness, brilliantly played between Caps, and they're not done.
Going bowling onto Unified, and they just keep on diving in the back, and down he goes. It's Caps who's responsible for the final hit onto Unified. Gemini realizes there is no way in hell he's going to save this tower, and Fnatic just keep on shoving this wave, looking to take down the inner. 12 minutes.
And Jesiz just coming up huge on this Rakan. I know it's really been the Cap story, but back-to-back perfect engages right there, setting up his team brilliantly. They make the picks, they take down an inner tower, and like I said, eventually we're going to rotate to the top lane. Eventually we're going to go for this Rift Child, and it gets that much easier when your creeps have that much control over the bottom side of the map.
And it's all about having these key members of Fnatic involved in just about everything. 100% KP, not just for Caps, but also for Broxah. He has been all over this map this game, and it is so nice to see him being a much more active early game presence.
I mean, Caps said they were going to show the best version of Fnatic, and I feel like we are getting it because they are just absolutely running over HKA.
Yeah, and for Fnatic, this whole turn of events at Worlds so far in the play-in stages has been a story of redemption for this team, showing that maybe they weren't able to do it in the European LCS, stumbling at the finish line and getting knocked out of seed 1 or 2 contention by the likes of Misfits, but having seed number 3, proving that they can still make it all the way to the group stage of Worlds. One more game is all they need to do, and they are well on their way to making it happen.
But they still need to look down at HKA on this late game, because Caps, that's going to hurt.
Well, if he gets that shutdown, Hemo Plague's out, throwing rocks once again, but Caps is able to flash the wall, prevent the finishing blow. Mission's already on that Ghost because Broxah attacks his way in once more.
But Mission's starting to feel more confidence. He's now level 9, has multiple points into Vladimir, so he is going to start to become a threat. Has the Proto Belt. When this starts grouping up into a 5v5, there are still viable options for HKA to come back into this game. It's not over yet, so Fnatic, keep it tight, keep it clean if you want to make the EU fans hype.
And for Hong Kong attitude, they just need to make sure they can perform in the clutch to get themselves those fights, get themselves some picks, get themselves back in the gold game. But we need to see this Xayah come online. They're still going for the Siphon build.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that while the Ardent Sensor is there, and that's certainly going to help, Unified has like the KFC variety bucket of I don't even know. He's got 2 long swords and a Cole. It's not a good time.
Especially not. You don't want Xayah eating chicken. That's like cannibalism.
I got dark.
Really fast. Rift Herald's going down. Fnatic, they have everything they want right now.
And they can use the Rift Herald to break an inner tower. Now, they don't need to use it on this outer. They do have the option, but with a big creep wave and 4 members, and with HKA not in position, they should get it for free.
Yeah, nothing HKA can really do to try and push this one back, so another tower is going to fall in favor of Fnatic. Still looking to take down the one in the mid, but you got to think, grouping up like this, pretty easy for them to just march right in and take it as well.
See, Vlad's giant head on the mini-map blocked the mid lane tower for me. So the cool thing is the Rift Herald can be used to break that, which I love Rift Herald as a mechanic to deny a lot of these infinite wave-clearing mid laners that we've had roaming around League of Legends for so long. It's like, you got your Orianna, you got your Vladimirs, I don't care. This mid lane tower is going down now because I'm going to 5-man mid with Rift Herald.
Yep. And HKA, they're just going to have to hold on to the seats for a while, try and get a little bit more gold in their pockets to be able to make plays. I think it really will be all on this Vladimir, and I want to see what HKA can really do to try and enable him further.
I mean, it has to be all on Vladimir right now because Unified's not online right now. Riris is still feeling very susceptible to Cho'Gath. He's only got his MR, and Rekkles is pretty strong right now.
Yeah, and he could just afford to side push, and not only is this something he likes to do, generally speaking, even on less safe carries on the Sivir, he can get out a little bit easier. He's got a spell shield on the hunt, can be used defensively as well, and he has a lot of damage to try and 1v1.
Now in this game in particular, because he did get so much attention bot lane, you can see that he's already built up a pretty hefty side lane, but something that is cool about Fnatic and Rekkles in particular is that a lot of his CS lead is actually grown post 15 minutes, so this is something that they commonly do, and he does get a lot of gold off of it.
And meanwhile, Fnatic are able to pressure on the mid and pretty much lock down the rest of Hong Kong Attitude. Riris is on the bottom side, leading a slow wave of minions down there without a whole lot of defense, but it doesn't really matter, especially because, as you said, trying to push against that infinite wave cleave. In comes Shelly, and that's just enough damage to knock down the mid turret. Even with the Janna shield, doesn't matter. Puts the wall off as well, so no chance Mission can come in and get anything done.
And they still have the creep wave as well as a lot of health on Rift Herald, and with Vladimir locked out, here comes the TP. HKA are looking for a fight.
And it looks like they do it. Galio coming in, they don't have the damage to finish off on a Kaiwing, but sOAZ surely wanted it. All the same, it was all just trying to clear them away from the tower. Mission indecisive to come into the backline, trying to find himself a Hemo Plague, but now Riris has turned on to sOAZ, who gets the Justice Punch away. Fnatic might have gone a little too far forward, and they might lose Jesiz for it. He gets eaten up, and then Mission delivers the finishing blow.
And that's one of those instances where Fnatic will always look forward, they'll always look for the re-engage instead of just disengaging. sOAZ did the right thing, he got the hell out of dodge, he was safe, and Fnatic were like, bro, you okay? Turned around, got picked off.
Sometimes you can't stop for breath when you're trying to run right out of there. So Hong Kong Attitude get a much-needed kill for themselves, even if it was just on the support. It gives them a little bit of a breather to try and put some more pressure on the mid and clear the vision in the river.
Yeah, it's about the tempo trade. The fact that they then have inside track on pushing into mid. That said, sOAZ doesn't take his back, just walks all the way to the mid tower and just waits for them to push in. Taking a look at this though, you can see that the teleport is coming in right now for Cho'Gath. So HKA are saying we want to fight because they are so deep, but Fnatic just beat them to the punch. sOAZ comes flying in, he zones off multiple members. Vladimir's been locked out because of the Taliyah wall, and the damage has been done. The tower goes down. This is where things kind of go sideways. sOAZ, totally fine. He's able to get out of the Rupture, he uses the Falcon Punch, but Broxah and Jesiz turned around just slightly to maybe look for the re-engage instead of just walking away scot-free.
And as it was, Fnatic just losing out on one member. 18 minutes in, though, they're still very much in the driver's seat with a 6,000 gold advantage. Baron not even up and available yet, of course, and still some serious control in this mid up towards the top side. With Rekkles on wave clear duty, the Cho'Gath down in the bottom. No teleport available, so sOAZ has that advantage.
And the beautiful thing is that it's the last standing outer top side, and that's exactly where Fnatic want to put all of their attention and vision. They want to set up for the Baron when it spawns, so you need to set your triangle vision down where exactly what Broxah is doing right now.
And they got the wall off, so they make sure that Gemini or just about anybody else can't really get in position to help out Unified and Kaiwing. So Fnatic trying to close this net. However, the rest of Hong Kong Attitude are here. And without a whole lot of minions left to work with, Fnatic might give on this one.
But Fnatic can just be patient, because again, this is kind of the last easiest objective for them to take on the map.
Just take their time about it. Make sure they can clear wards out as they go. Keeping it nice and dark, so Hong Kong Attitude would have to face check into danger. Of course, Gemini, Riris on the front side, looking to try and push them back out. That red buff should reset in just a few more moments. There it goes.
And with the wall gone, all eyes are on Jesiz right now. He's the big trigger or go button on this comp.
Oh, and Gemini is the one who got on top of the charm is there, but Riris is still zoning 3 out on the front. sOAZ right in the middle, getting the shield to Durand out. Even the red buff is in the mix. Looking for Gemini, flashing the wall, and in comes Mission around the side. Can they turn the fight? That's a shutdown onto Caps. Looking for more. Even gets the smite down onto the red, and now sOAZ is caught up. That's a double kill for Cho'Gath.
And finally, HKA welcome themselves into a mid-game and finally win a team fight. Vladimir is doing so much work to compensate for the gold difference and the item differences between the rest of his team. Gets into the backline, gets his ultimate across multiple members, and suddenly Unified is hitting so much harder.
It's going to be a bit of an eye-opener for Fnatic right now that they can't just waltz in and take whatever fight they damn well please. So, with the pressure advantage, Unified Kaiwing trying to knock down this tower in the mid, but Rekkles is still there with Jesiz to defend it.
But the thing is that Fnatic don't necessarily need to take the fight. They have all of the tools on this composition that they can sculpt or engineer the perfect opportunity. If they want, just turn onto the Baron, use the wall, and lock them up. It's a bit too early in the game to try that maneuver. They need to wait a little bit more so they can burn it faster, but it will be an option for them if they feel dissuaded by that last 5v5.
Yeah, if I'm Fnatic, I definitely want to avoid Riris at all costs. Here's why. We'll see this one again.
And again, all eyes really need to be on Mission, who's going to run all the way from base and get around into the back line. Now, the Taliyah ultimate is down at this point, so like I said, it's really about how Jesiz is going to start this fight. Riris does a good job making sure that they can't immediately follow up on the Rakan engagement. Mission finally joins the fight, gets into the back line, gets a very nice ultimate immediately into a W, and then suddenly his team just starts plowing through.
Yeah, Mission even trying to chase down sOAZ following all of that. And unfortunately for him, the Rakan just a little too slippery. Now it's back to business as usual for Fnatic, though, as Rekkles once again on the side lane, being joined by his good buddy Jesiz as they keep on pushing it. But Baron has hit the rift now.
Things did get a lot better, though, for HKA. They've started to reach some of these big key itemization. You got the Ardent Sensor, you have the ability to ward for Kaiwing and Janna's pocket. Finally, an item is actually completed for Xayah at this point. And you now have 2 items in the back pocket for Vladimir.
Not getting any weaker. Mission starting to have a little bit better of a time. And I'm still looking at Riris, though. The adaptive helm means the AP damage Taliyah can dish. It's not going to be nearly as effective. All the same, Fnatic still leading the charge here. They should be able to pick up a Dragon if they so want it pretty easily. And a lot of vision surrounding that Baron pit. HKA have their work cut out for them if they want to deny.
But Fnatic do need to respect HKA. They did the smart thing. They grouped up. They've now moved into the Baron pit area and are clearing vision out together. But they do need to turn their attention towards that mid lane tower. That should be the next big focal point for them. But you know, how do you break that? You're dealing with so much wave clear from Fnatic. You have to make a pick.
What they're trying to do? Ooh, just whiffs on the Ice Bullet from Gemini.
I mean, the other option that they can try to do is send Mission into one of those side lanes, send Riris into the side lanes, but they're running Ghost, and they don't have a double teleport. So, you know, Vladimir is pretty much restricted towards the top lane.
All that standing gold in those towers, so hard for Hong Kong Attitude to try and take. But you got to think, if they do start getting those fights, those are going to fall like dominoes. 22 minutes into this game. Looks like the pressure and attention's sending towards the top side.
Yeah, look at the indecision from Mission. He keeps cutting back towards his team, cutting back towards the top lane. Am I pushing? Am I trying to go for this tower? Or are we going to start a 5v5 that I need to be available for? Because, yes, that last 5v5 looked better for HKA. They did win it, but a lot of it was because Vladimir was there. If he's not, they do not win.
They definitely need him to be able to do it. Of course, he proved that he could definitely take a sprint into those fights, even getting the wraparound earlier on, right about there on the map.
But the indecision is costing him a lot of valuable time. Look at the bottom side of the map. sOAZ has started to set up the big bot wave. You know, Riris is going to have to disengage, walk down there, does have his teleport, but that's inside track for sOAZ to push forward and start cutting mid so he doesn't have to burn the teleport.
Limit some of the choices of Hong Kong Attitude to try and defend, and now Riris is going to just get out in time before Broxah were to spot him. All the vision that Hong Kong Attitude put down around this Baron pit going to be cleared out as they don't have control of it any longer. Pings flying, Fnatic still eyeballing all the HKA members in the mid. And as soon as the defense gets mounted on the bottom side, they move back up to the top, keep pushing the waves.
And this is the thing, HKA are still being really responsive to what Fnatic are doing, and they're not driving tempo. Again, they have, you know, the strong Vladimir in a 1v1 scenario. We've seen him multiple times. He feels super confident to look across from Caps. sOAZ is busy on the bot side, and now there's a pick.
Yep, Gemini checking right on in. However, as soon as everyone responds, he is able to just sneak out. The teleport comes in for Riris. Let's see if he's going to be able to turn the fight in favor of Fnatic. They're split off between the two. Cut off, Rekkles, sOAZ. Rekkles is going to have to flash away, but Riris is turning right for him anyways, and they decide, even though the front line's chasing Jesiz, is going to try to keep the defense going, and they're going to be able to take him down. Those spikes looking for even more as Unified finds a kill. Mission falls to Caps right in the middle of it all. Just outside of the main part of the fight, it's still a 1-4-2 in favor of Hong Kong Attitude, and Caps is on the wrong side of this fight.
3v4 on the bottom side, a 2v1 onto the top side. Fnatic won the 2v1 top side, but they lost the 3v4 on the bottom side of that fight, and now Caps in no man's land, just trying to get home.
HKA playing catch the Caps instead of rushing for the Baron, looking to see if they can get one more pick. Should be able to do it, but got to be careful. He's still pretty potent on that damage, and this is the cutoff, just looking for him as he flashes away, buying a little bit more time for the team, but the kill is going to be given over to Unified all the same. That's his second on the game.
Now that said, they still have Broxah available. He technically doesn't have Smite, but it doesn't look like HKA are confident enough to immediately turn on the Baron, despite the fact that their jungler's alive and they have Cho.
All right, well, here's the start of the fight once again. Gemini looked like he was caught, but he was able to make his escape with the flash.
And again, it's just how this gets so separated. Riris completes the teleport, so this is, you know, a decisive maneuver from HKA to say we are 100% going to fight this, and then it's going to be Mission versus Gragas and Taliyah on the top side, and the rest of HKA that are going to run down Jesiz and Rekkles. And in fact, even though sOAZ is there, it technically turns into kind of a 4v2 because he gets split off from his bottom lane.
And sOAZ really can't do much off the back of it either, so at the very least, Fnatic are able to make a catch play, or rather a pick-off onto Mission, and he goes down, but they get a lot more damage onto the rest of the members of Fnatic. You can see the damage being dished out by Rekkles in that hectic fight.
And I believe we just saw core items like the Warmogs coming in for Sejuani. Yep, there it is.
There we are. Gonna be a lot harder to kill Gemini now.
Yeah, and suddenly if you don't all-in engage and kill the Sejuani, then that damage doesn't stick, and then you have the potential that these fights get elongated and things get really scary. It's, you know, Warmogs and Sejuani and a Vladimir, so it's almost like all or nothing have to end the fight there, because if it goes to multiple engagements, HKA's composition will just outlast.
And that's the confidence that we're going to be looking for from HKA right now, because we have seen them be indecisive over the course of this series, but also with Godquiet in the jungle. So now that Gemini is in, maybe we'll see a bit more of that go button now that they have not so much of a deficit compared to where they were before. This might be the comfort zone. We've
been talking so much about, you know, Caps and Broxah's high kill participation. Well, you look across at Gemini, 1 in 6 out of 7 kills. He's got 100% kill participation, so certainly leaving his mark on this game so far from the jungle swap.
Now the game is all about the mid. Looks like they have found sOAZ, however. Caps wants to build the wall and go right in top. They've isolated the Cho'Gath. Mission can't quite get in, but he flashes forward with one-man Hemoplague onto Caps. And it looks like the Grand Entrance, Hero's Entrance, I should say, coming on in, looking for more as he helps defend and push back Hong Kong Attitude, but Broxah wants to take another fight, gets knocked sidewave onto Riris, shoved back into the team. Two-man taunt goes in, Justice, punch! Does not find any further damage though in Hong Kong Attitude. They time to turn on in, looking for sOAZ. Not enough damage to finish him off. No one gunned down.
Exactly. None of this damage is sticking. Yes, Riris doesn't have the Warmogs, but Sejuani does. Now, she is blinking red, but eventually she's going to start healing back up. You're dealing with Janna, you're dealing with Morlox, you're dealing with Vladimir. If you don't initially win that fight, you will just lose to this itemization and this composition from HKA.
Push Fnatic back, at least forcing Caps. He had not a whole lot of health and definitely no mana. Gives Hong Kong Attitude some time to reset, pushing waves. Might give them a chance to start controlling this Baron pit for a change.
Definitely need a mortal reminder coming out of Rekkles pretty soon.
Well, got his Infinity Edge at the very least, but we have to look to see if that's going to be his next item. Redemption does come in for Jesiz, so there's definitely going to be some heals on both sides. Will it be enough?
It's just such an obnoxious, you know, anytime you play against Vladimir and he gets to that late game stage, he just really reminds everyone why you just hate when he comes into the meta.
Yeah, I need to remind him why he's mortal as well. Mission only gone down twice this game. Once was in that laning phase, of course. Second being that isolated kill. Yeah,
Birthday Boy here in Mission doing a much better job in Game 3. And HKA, they have really planted their feet and decided that they will not go quietly into the night.
They've caught the Cho'Gath on Fnatic's side. However, turnabout is fair play as they look for Broxah. Not a whole lot of damage dealt to those front lines. And HKA looking to try and turn the fight once again. Riris tagging his way back out. It looks like they don't want to take this fight, though. Fnatic had the better of him.
And Cho doesn't have his Warmogs right now, so that damage will certainly stick to him, but it's not the key target like the jungler, like the mid laner. So Fnatic still not feeling super confident to immediately turn towards the objective that we've been fighting over, which is the Baron.
Yeah, when the fights go that close, you gotta think they don't want to take it unless it's absolutely guaranteed for them. Keep it clinical, keep it clean. However, they do manage to grab a Minor Dragon with the Ocean, so it gives them a little bit of extra regen as well.
And more options will start to open up for Fnatic. The teleport's coming back up for sOAZ. You can see it's just about ready for him, so he's going to feel confident now to reach out towards those side lanes and start creating different pressure points to pivot around.
For a game that has Fnatic up 5 towers right now, it definitely feels awfully close, Broxah.
Those late game carries and team comp from HKA certainly can match a 5v5.
Yeah. Well, and we started the series talking about how important it was for HKA to be lane dominant. That's how they like to play things out. But as much as we've talked about Fnatic showing some different styles of play, multifacets, we're seeing that from HKA as well. A little indecisive sometimes in those fights, but when they do all pull the trigger at the same time, we've seen some magic happen.
The thing is that HKA over the course of this series have been given opportunities where they have leads, where they can, you know, continue to snowball, and just like you said, indecisive, hesitant, maybe a bit gun-shy in terms of being in front of a large crowd. They have a lot of rookies on their team. When they do pull the trigger, like you said, it works out, and now they're starting to be within touching distance of this goal difference between them and Fnatic. But it hasn't been consistent enough to put them in a winning position for the series.
Riris getting caught there, charmed up, Battle Dance knocking him back, and they even throw the barrel out once more. Fnatic really wanted to leave this Cho'Gath off the map, but it's bought just enough time for the rest of Hong Kong Attitude to come through. Down he goes, shutdown mission, looking for the Hemo Plague. He finds it on multiple members, but the Redemption's coming down, and so is the Galio, right on top of Jez's mission. Gets the kill, but he's gonna fall for Rekkles, turning it back around, but HKA, they've decided they want to fully commit to this one, as Unified takes down the Galio. Smoke is not clear just yet. That's a shutdown for Caps. And now Gemini being chased back away from his own base. It ends up being a 3-for-2 in Fnatic's favor, but we're not done yet. Gemini trying to bait out Caps. Kaiwing attack his way in, work ground and everything.
We're running into Broxah.
Oh no, the body slam forces the flash out, insta-tornado. Rekkles still on the chase. Let's see if they're able to find him under tower. He's gonna have to throw one barrel and not say goodbye just yet, as they've brought Caps as well. Getting the bop up, Gemini taking all that damage, and even under the tower, Caps says, that's fine, I can throw a few more stones and get the ace.
And Caps is just a beast on this Taliyah right now. He is doing so much work, and it might not be done yet, because here comes Riris.
All right, that fight was so long, the teleport came all the way back in, but instead of trying to turn for the fight, immediately just stops, clears away the control ward. Fnatic saw him coming.
No, he actually just teleported for that control ward, Pyra.
That is a value teleport.
I gotta clear it right now. We take another look at this fight. I really want to highlight Mission right now. So what he's trying to do is kind of lure and make sure that he gets a really nice Hemo Plague, but his tank is tanking so much damage, and he's not doing anything while that's happening. Now, he does get a good ultimate eventually. He does get into the backline, but his tank is dead. Now he's suddenly in no man's land, and Fnatic just turned and kind of burned him. So felt a little bit awkward coming out of Vladimir for that team fight. And like I said, Caps is a beast. He still has his ultimate. He turns, he blows up Unified, and then chases down, you know, 2 more kills.
Yeah, so instead of closing that gap, it actually widens it just a little bit more for Fnatic. And now Caps, he is left isolated, has to flash over that wall, as Jesiz had already gone back home. Now this will open up an opportunity for HKA to start clearing out some vision. Instead, still eyeballing that mid turret. Remember, they don't have a single tower on the game.
I believe it's also an elixir of iron for Jesiz.
Yeah, that'll keep you alive a little longer.
No, he's real big.
It's Big Bird. 1-4-8 now. Jesiz is in this game, and he's definitely had some serious value engages, so he wants to make sure that if he goes in, he's not going to go down quite so easily. Fnatic, though, pinging at the Baron. You might want to use this one to try and force a fight. However, the 5v5s have definitely been less decisive of late.
I mean, this has been the same play repeatedly. We've had, what, 4 back-to-back fights in the same area over the same objective, and neither team has really felt confident enough that once they take the fight, that they can get what they came for. And I have a feeling we're going to keep clashing heads here.
Well, the Baron dance has many steps. Sometimes gets a little bit repetitive here. Now, there's a big wave in that bottom lane in Fnatic's favor, though. I feel like they can bait this one out.
Yeah, and it's Mission that's heading down for it, so he's deciding if I show here, Fnatic are already on the Baron, this would 100% be the go-ahead to try to burn it.
Pretty easy to clear that one off, so there he goes. Now it's going to be 5v4 attempt to try and push them off. Now Fnatic pulling back just a little bit, still keeping the Baron aggroed up. Riris, he could try to flash over for the Chomp steal. Let's see if he gets it, getting a little bit low. There's the Rupture thrown in. Does he dare? The Sejuani trying to wait around the side, but Unified Kaiwing already a little low as well, and they're chasing them back. Gemini, he's trying to hang tough right now. The Baron's already reset because Fnatic decide they want to just completely turn this fight. Riris knocked between a wall and a hard place. And Mission going around the side with the Ghost on. Doesn't find the Hemo Plague he's looking for. Still keeps that one, and now Fnatic still trying to chase for them. And they run straight into a healed up Unified. Riris not so lucky as he tries to go back in, but only to be turned away immediately. Fnatic don't find what they're looking for.
And unfortunately, they can't just immediately go back towards the Baron because, again, none of this damage will really stick. Yeah, they forced out the Cho'Gath, but the rest of the members from HKA are totally fine.
The Cho'Gath backed away, doesn't have that teleport, but he's still going to be able to walk it out pretty quickly.
And you know, you can understand the mentality from Fnatic. They don't want to take the 50-50. They know that there's a possibility that Cho comes over the wall, that he finds the feast onto the Baron, that, you know, Gemini uses the smite. And so they say, it's 4v5, Vladimir's bottom, let's look for the team fight instead.
And now the team fight is going to start once more. Gemini going forward, does not manage to land a stun off, and now the Baron is being done by 2 while the rest of Fnatic push HKA back. They've clearly committed to the objective they want to be able to secure, but Riris running forward. Let's see if he can get the flash over the wall just in time. He doesn't know what's happening. It's gone down. Smited by Broxah. And now Hong Kong Attitude have to deal with Fnatic's 5-man Baron.
And that was well executed from Fnatic. They don't even take the 5v5. They take the Baron for free, and now looking for the fight.
Oh, the flash forward, the taunt, and down goes the Vladimir. No pool for you, and Caps is even going to get some relief in the form of sOAZ and Broxah. Jesiz jumping in, getting a 3-man charm on, and Hong Kong Attitude. It looks like things are not looking so good for this team, flashing back away from the tower with the Baron empowerment. Fnatic are charging for the win right now. They want to prove they can get into the group stages, and they are so close to doing it.
And Caps is already in the base. He's led with the wall. His team has a massive creep wave up into the top lane.
Gemini flashing forward, the shove, and Gemini's gone down even through the stun. Doesn't mean a damn thing. 2 members of Hong Kong Attitude are all that remain to try and push Caps back, but up in the top, they're losing pressure.
Yeah, sOAZ has teleported up into the top lane. They still have a massive creep wave. There's 2 cannon waves. They're going to end.
And it's 15 seconds before anyone's even going to come right back up. So Fnatic, they realize they have the superior fight with only 2 members remaining. Make that one! Kaiwing's all the way back to base, and Fnatic are looking to put this one away. Caps goes golden, and he has got a big smile on his face, no doubt, as Fnatic looking for the final fight. Desperate finish here for Hong Kong Attitude, but it is 1, 2, 3, the coup de grace, and Fnatic are moving on to the groups here at Worlds 2017.
And Fnatic look over at Cloud9. Anything you can do.
You can do better.
They finish the games faster and just have a dominant performance in the best of 5 that a lot of people were looking at, that this had the highest chance for upset. And Fnatic carried from multiple lanes, multiple members, and from early and late game.
Fnatic absolutely earned some massive respect for themselves in this series. Game 1, we saw some of the same type of team play, but it was still clean and clinical to come back into it. Games 2 and 3, we saw that multifaceted Fnatic that we know could shine, putting resources on Caps. And when he's got gold, that boy's a monster.
It's not just him. Again, also props to Jesiz. I love watching this guy get a hold of the Rakan, and then all of the advantages that he can buy from Fnatic in these team fights. Engage after engage, how he teamed up with Broxah, how he teamed up with Caps, was a lot of the reason why Fnatic snowballed so heavily.
And decisive play from Fnatic, so they can definitely go forward into the group stages of Worlds with their heads held high.
Now, unfortunately, on the other side, that does mean that the 3rd seed from LMS will not be moving on. So Hong Kong Attitude, they made a valiant attempt, losing out in that tiebreaker against 1907 Fenerbahce, earning themselves to look across from Fnatic. Tried, had a couple of good team fights, but just didn't have the versatility, the experience, and the individual performances to keep up.
No, and it was a good attempt from them, even if they weren't able to pick up a win. And I think their coach Tabe definitely said it correctly, is that this is a team that can do a lot of what we do, but also better, and just kind of proved it on the day.
Yeah, and it was also about, you know, different goal setting. You know, coming into 2017, Hong Kong Attitude did not expect to be at Worlds. They were just going to rebuild the roster, you know, completely change. 16 different members came through their doors.
It was a miracle run for sure.
Exactly, and they were just trying to create the structure for not today, but tomorrow. They got the miracle run, they made it to Worlds, and they did leave their stamp, but unfortunately it ends here.
Yep. Now, to hear more about how Fnatic clinched their spot in the groups, let's send it back over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pyra. Mark Z had pancakes. Vedius has something no one wants to see. I don't know what to call it.
It's the smile, the face of joy, Mark Z. Faster average game time than North America. How does that feel?
Pretty good. I wouldn't want to almost lose a game with a 4K gold lead at 10 minutes.
That is...
Let's not just jump right to 10 minutes. You brought it up. You brought it up. You swing at me, you swing at me, I defend.
Let's remember the good times as we bring up our first replay. Let's remember the time before we weren't quite winning a game with a 4K gold lead, because Fnatic, they brought it home in the early game.
Yeah, they did. Look at Broxah. He's ganking the mid lane. We had to wait a whole season for this. But this is what can happen when Fnatic invest resources into their other carries. Caps, he went off in this game, and it was great to see that sort of investment into the superstar mid lane.
Yeah, just so much early playmaking out of Fnatic here. Caps starts getting caught out of position as he probably just goes to try and get some vision down. Broxah is still around, able to collapse, punishes the substitute jungler as soon as he steps in, and it doesn't end there.
No, it does not. They immediately move up to the top. They go for another punish up onto Riris as well. And already, Fnatic, they start the game off with 3 kills under their belt. A double buff onto Caps. You couldn't really ask for anything better.
No, I mean, all I'm saying is, it may look a little grim there in the mid game, but Fnatic still bring it home. I don't see any red. Okay, there's a little bit of red at the start. I mostly don't see any red on that graph. I think Fnatic fans can be proud of that performance.
Absolutely. I mean, just look at Caps' damage. 43,000 this game. He had like a 12, 2, and 8 scoreline at the end of it, something like that. He absolutely popped off. Was a hard carry even from basically minute 3 and onwards. It was a great showing out of him.
Yep.
Did feel, though, like a little bit of struggles there that might concern some as we head into the group stage for Fnatic, but I also feel like Hong Kong Attitude were so close so many times to bringing us to a game 4 across this entire game 3.
Yeah, you have to admit that Fnatic, they took a lot of risky plays in the mid game. They thought that they were very strong, right? The mentality that they had was, we're definitely stronger than our opposition, was not a false one, but I think they were just too over-eager. They saw plays that they really weren't in a position to take, and I felt like they didn't need to, but they did it anyway. And you have to praise HKA for effectively punishing them for all of those greedy moves.
Right, a lot of the times the front line went too far forward, back lines left exposed to Mission, who in a couple team fights found good flanks, and that's when it started getting a little scary there for a second, but I don't think the Gold League got closer than, 4, 3,000, something like that. And after that, it felt like Fnatic kind of settled themselves. They went to that Baron buff, started forcing more around there, and then once you were making the enemy come to you as opposed to you just diving crazily far forward, felt like Fnatic closed that pretty cleanly.
That's definitely the case. Of course, when you look across the series, though, one man stood out. Someone who definitely deserved a player of the series, none other than Caps in the mid lane. Of course, coming up huge. We already mentioned it. And game 1, we were questioning. By the end of game 1, he looked pretty good. Game 2 was the Caps show. And game 3, it's just the same old story.
And it's great to see this guy step up, or rather the team invest to allow this guy to carry, because one of the things that we heard from Rekkles during the regular season, after Rift Rivals especially, was that I can trust my teammates more. I know that if I allow them to carry, they can be the carries, and it's not on me to try and be that superstar all the time. And this is an example of what happens when Broxah invests time into the mid, when we see the Galio roam down to the bot, because Caps doesn't just sit mid with his lead, he transitions it over to the other side lanes to bring the lead to the rest of the team.
That's something I really like to see, is just the different styles, because like you said, first couple games, not a ton of jungle attention from Broxah to his mid lane, and that third game, is when they started bringing resources to him. And in all 3 situations, all 3 games, he really excelled throughout the entire game.
I also like the contrast between the 2 teams that have qualified in terms of Jensen, the guy who they play around mid for, and Caps, the guy who leaves mid to play around other people. Really interesting to see how those teams are going to function on the world stage. But to hear more about that Fnatic win, let's send it over to Fish, who's standing by for an interview with the victorious support.
Hey guys, I'm standing here with Fnatic support Jesiz after their 3-0 victory over Hong Kong Attitude. I mean, the group stages for you guys was a little bit rough, but this was a one-sided affair. Did you expect that? And what did you expect coming in against HKA today?
I think group stage, personally, I felt like I played pretty solid. I think the only reason why it was a bit rough for the team was, I mean, we have a few rookies that, haven't played on international stage other than Rift Rivals, I guess. So they were a bit shaky, like, mentally. But I felt like here against HKA, both of them picked it up like crazy. They carried me and Rekkles really hard, especially me. I felt like, at least the third game, that was like my worst performance of my life. And I don't know, I had to like start doing deep breathing, because like in the middle of the game, I was like, oh man, I'm playing so bad. I have to mentally reset. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy that we made it. Really happy that our rookies stepped up for this series and carried us. Yeah.
Well, I know you had a great group stage, but I was surprised to hear that you thought that was one of your worst performances in your life, because I wish I could play that well if that was your worst performance. The next question I have for you is basically, you're back at Worlds now. Last time here was in 2014. What's different this time around? And, what do you expect coming into Worlds this year?
I think last time I was 18 years old, and I was basically what Caps and Broxah were, but I didn't maybe have, the staff and the veterans to help me out as much back then. So I think I was much more fragile, like mentally, and there was a whole my jungler getting banned thing. So the entire event was very unfortunate. So I think the difference now is that I just have so much more experience. I know how to handle more stressful situations. I know how to maybe lead my team a little bit more, both in game and especially out of the game. So, and I also just feel more comfortable as a player. Just overall, everything's just better, yeah.
And it shows not a performance between groups as well as you know, the playoff stage here to move into the group stage. Speaking of which, there are 2 different groups you'll be seated into. So either going to be SKT, EDG, as well as, can't remember the last time, AHQ, and the final one is going to be Immortals, Longzhu, or Gigabyte Marines. Which group do you want to go into and why? And if not, as well as which group do you not want to go into? And tell me a bit more why about that.
I think the one with SKT and EDG, I feel like both groups are, in a way, equal. You never really know because EDG, obviously, they're supposed to be super strong. But with China, I mean, they tend to be a little inconsistent at Worlds. So you never really know if they're maybe better than Immortals. So if it's up to me, I don't really mind either group. And I'm just really super excited to face both SKT or Longzhu. Their bot lanes are super strong, super renowned players. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really mind either group yet.
That's great to hear. Congratulations on the victory. Best of luck throughout the group stage as well as the rest of the world. We're going to send it back to you guys now.
I'm a little surprised that Jez doesn't have a stronger opinion on which group he wants to end up in. To be fair, I understand the point he was making about how sometimes there's a Chinese team who shows up and they flop a little bit, and he's saying that, you know, if that's EDG, it's not that bad of a group to end up in. But who knows, because anytime you hear those names in Group A, it's a little scary.
It's also a matter of going into Group B, like, sure, you might sit there and think like, oh, maybe Longzhu is the only real threat, but I feel like Models has a really good chance of topping that group too. Like, Gigabyte Marines, you never really know what team is going to show up on the day, so, like, both have the potential to be very scary groups.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what it will be like, but of course, good to hear Jesiz as well. Hey, it was a rough day for me, giving praise to the rookies, acknowledging that there are some weaknesses to work on, but regardless, we have our first 2 play-ins team going to groups in Fnatic and Cloud9. Now you can tune in tomorrow to see who will join them. We kick off the day with 1907 Fenerbahce from the TCL versus CBLOL's Team 1, followed by Team WE facing off against Young Generation from the GPL, with the group draw happening shortly after. And of course, if you're looking to show off your Worlds caliber play, make sure you're looking the part with the newest addition to the Championship line. When you pick up your Worlds swag, 25% of those proceeds from the Championship Ash and Ward skin are going to be added to the Worlds prize pool, and an additional 25% will also be donated to charity. You can unlock the Championship Chroma through the Worlds missions as well, which is going to be available through all of Worlds. Now, for myself, the casters, EU and NA lovers alike, the broadcast crew, and everyone else, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more Worlds 2017.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Punching your opponent's ticket home quickly is Cloud9's goal here tonight, but they will have to get through a team that, like the analyst said, looks like the most impressive rank 2 team. Impact flash into the hook shot. They may just be able to find this kill. Audi with the flash. Impact goes down. Now the counterattack from Cloud9 is live. The cap going to 5.
Ele não conseguiu gastar o ultimate. Situação complicada. First blood nas mãos do Giro.
Is alive. Find his way with a twisted advance. As Sneaky gets the Elder. Cloud9 still looking to make this fight happen. The root out on a draw. White Lotus. They got him. Goes down to Jensen's burst.
而且维鲁斯被闪现的大虫子配合的杀留住了，哇！这一波
3杀 Cloud9 have found 2. Looking for number 3. Xayah's got no way out. He's gonna fall to Impact. White Lotus the next man to fall. The double kill for Sneaky. Game 3 was just them putting the final nails in the coffin. They will find their 3-0 victory and punch their ticket to the main group event at Worlds 2017.
A little celebration dinner. It's a traditional American meal of meat and carbs.
Broxah. Combo pra cima do AD Carry. Evaporado. Riris na sequência. Olha o double chegando.
Understood is backing away, and Caps goes forward. Flashing, petrifying gaze. Looking for God by Riris. Stopped up and stunned. Thrown into prison, and down he goes. And in comes Caps and Broxah. Hello, and goodbye.
妩媚的展现，这时候吸血鬼能够成功的进到后排，并且大虫子一口是把 Caps 给咬掉了，有机会冰住了嫂子，这一波打出了 double kill。
They brought Caps as well, getting the buff up. Gemini taking all that damage, and even under the tower, Caps says that's fine. I can throw a few more stones and get the ace. As Fnatic looking for the final fight, desperate finish here for Hong Kong Attitude, but it is 1, 2, 3, the coup de grace, and Fnatic are moving on to the groups here at Worlds 2017.